Okay, so welcome to a new video, and in this video I'm going to be going over absolutely everything regarding the new math worksheet generator software, so you know exactly what features you're getting with each version of that software. So everything is crystal clear for you. So important note here, I sent out an email recently to you asking if you'd be interested in me adding a certain bonus on top of my existing bonus for this software. And within the last 12 hours at the point of recording, I've had nearly 100 emails with people on board with this idea. So make sure you watch to the very end of this video where I'm going to be sharing this incredible bonus with you. So the link to purchase the software plus all of my bonuses will be in the description below. So visit that when you can, but I recommend that you watch this video first so you make sure that you know what you're getting. So during the launch period of this software, which is between the 22nd of July and the 25th of July, the prices will be reduced significantly. And then after the launch period, those prices will go back up and those prices will never return to the discounted prices ever again. So let's get into this. If you haven't seen my review of the software, you can check that out from the description below. But for now, I recommend that you just go through this video. Okay, so with the math worksheet generator software, there are 3 upgrades on top of the base version of the software. These upgrades are referred to as OTO 1, OTO 2, and OTO 3, which stands for one-time offer. These will also be referred to sometimes as Math Worksheet Generator Pro, Premium, and Elite. So regardless of these upgrades, you have to purchase the base version first. Then from there, you can mix and match the OTOs if you want them. So the base version of the software on its own is $47 during the launch period. And then after the launch period, that price will increase to $97. So what I'm going to do here is access a version of the software that has the base version only with no upgrades so you can see what you're getting. And then after each demonstration, I will leave a summary of everything in the base version. And I'm going to do this for every upgrade of the software that's available as well so that you know exactly what you're getting and what the price is. Okay, so I've loaded up a base version of the software. So this is one that doesn't have any of the upgrades on it. So these are going to be the features that you're going to get regardless as to whether you just get the base version or whether you decide to add any upgrades or not. So let's just go through some of the base version features here. So in terms of which type of equations you're going to be getting, you're going to get access to the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Okay, so bear in mind that I created my book using this version of the software and I just used these 2 features here. Okay, but on top of what I've been using, you get the multiplication and the division as well. So consistent across each type of equation that we have access to, we also have a variety of different styles that we can select from, as you can see here. So depending on how you want to present your book, how you want to target your audience, you will have access to a ton of different ways that you can present your equations on the screen. So for example, if I wanted to create a multiplication page here that has a missing digit, we can do that. If I wanted to go back and create another page that has a subtraction equation that is presented in this kind of domino fashion here, we can do that as well. And as you can see, we have access to all these different types of styles for each equation that we get in the front end version of the software. Okay, so the next feature that we have access to across all types of equations that we create are the quick settings here, which allow us to make a variety of changes to our equations to cater to the style that we want. So for example, if you wanted to change the amount of rows and columns for our equations, we can do that very quickly through the quick settings here, update our worksheet, and it's going to make those changes straight away. Okay, from here you'll see that you have access to a variety of different sliders that allow you to change the width, the height, the row spacing, and the column spacing to make sure that you get your equations presented the way that you want them. And what you can do after you've got your equation laid out the way that you want it is also come to the quick settings here and limit the range of numbers that are being used in this equation. So for example, if I only wanted to make sure that we were using numbers between 10 and 20, what I can do here is come and just plug this into the quick settings here and make sure that the range is only between 10 and 20, and then update that, and the software is going to make sure that it only presents equations between 10 and 20. So this is very important when it comes to targeting different age groups. Okay, so just staying in the quick settings section here, what you'll find is that we have an incredible amount of ways that you can fine tune your equations to look the way that you want. So just going to use this one as an example here. So what we can do with the quick settings sections is to change some of these settings to make the equation look just the way that we want it. So for example, if I want to change the result box here, if I'm not happy with how that's presented, what I can do is come down to the quick settings here, and I think what I want is to change the thickness of the result box here. Okay, so with the sliders here, we can just drag that and change that on the fly. Okay, and if we want to change the style of that, for example, we can come down again to the quick settings and change that to how we want it. So we have solid, dashed, and dotted. I think for this equation I want to have it as dotted, and then I also think I want to change the result box to the color red as well. And we're going to update that. That's going to make those changes, and that's going to give us the ability to create an incredible amount of variety when it comes to our book. Okay, so just one quick correction here. I mentioned that in the base version of the software you can change the colors. That is a mistake by me. That feature is not available in the base version. You can't change any of the colors in that. You can only access that from OTO number 1. So that's just a few ways that you can use the quick settings to present your equations the way that you want to. There's way too much for me to go over in one video because you have these settings available to you in every type of equation that you create, and there are going to be some differences between them. But regardless of that, you're going to have a ton of variety when it comes to presenting your equations the way that you want them. Okay, so moving on to a couple more features in the base end version of the software. So staying in the realm of flexibility, what we have the option to do here is to add text into any of our pages. So I'm just going to make room here for a new text box by dragging this away, resizing it for now. And then we're going to add our text in here, which I think I want to have at the top of the screen, at the top of the page, sorry. And then we're going to center that, and we're going to be able to snap that into the middle here. So on top of this, we have 900 different styles of font that we can use, not just for the text boxes here, but also for the equations as well. So let's just go ahead and edit the font and the text for the equation and the text box as well. So I think I want to make this a little bit bigger in the equation, and I think I want to change the font type to something that's a little bit more playful. So let's go for that one there. I'm going to make the text a little bit bigger, I think. And then I want to change the text box to the same font as well. Then I'm just going to play around with this until it looks the way that I want. So we're going to drag it around. It's going to snap into the center. And that's the flexibility that we have with this software. So the next feature, moving on from here, let's assume that we want to create multiple pages of the same type of equations. So if we have a multiplication page here and we want to just duplicate this page but have different equations on those pages, what we can do is come across to the clone page button, and that's going to clone the page, create a new page, but it's also going to update all the equations in it as well. And what we can do is to do that as many times as we like, and for every page it's going to create random equations on each page, which is obviously going to allow you to create a lot of pages by just clicking one button. So important to note here, in the base version of the software, you have 100 downloads a month. Now, to avoid any confusion as to what that means you can press the download button 100 times a month. Okay, so it's not 100 equations, it's 100 times that you press the download button. So let's assume that we have 50 pages here and we download all of those pages in one. That is still one download, not 50. So regarding the different types of download that we have in the base version, we can download our equations as PNGs, JPEGs, or PDFs that are ready to be uploaded onto KDP or Etsy with commercial usage. So two more big features of the base version of the software is that for every type of equation that we create, we have the ability to regenerate the equations on the page. So we can just click on this and then come to regenerate data, and that's going to regenerate all the equations randomly until we're happy with what we see. So none of this means anything unless we can generate the solutions for our pages as well, which the software can do in just one click. So we can come up here, show solutions, and that's going to create the solutions for every page that we have created. So let's generate these. That's going to show us what the solutions look like. And then we come back to our equations. What we'll see is that it adds them in to the end of our book, presented very professionally. So those are the main features of the base version of the software. Again, the price during the launch period is $47, and then that's going to go up to $97 after the launch period. To see a complete list of all the features, they're going to be shown on screen now. So if you want to pause the video, do that now and check out all the features on display. Okay, so let's move on to the first upgrade of the software, which is OTO 1, which is also known as Math Worksheet Generator Pro. So during the launch period, the price of OTO 1 will be $67. And then after the launch period, that price will go up to $97. So let's go ahead and load up an account with the first upgrade on it. Okay, so just loading up an account here with just the OTO number 1, aka Math Worksheet Generator Pro. The first thing that you're going to find is that you have more equation styles for addition equations. So what you're going to find when you scroll down here is that you have 10 more styles of equations that you can create. So these equations here consist of 3 numbers or more. So let me show you this now. So what I've done here is just to add a few of these new style of addition equations to my pages. Now, what you can do with these type of equations is to add more numbers to them to make the equations more challenging. So for example, if we just click on this one here, at the moment we have 3 operands on this equation, but if we want to add more, what we can do is just come over to the settings on the left hand side here, come down to the operands, and we can increase that to as many as we want. So for example, if we wanted 4, we could just click on 4 here, update the worksheet, and that's going to change the equation to have 4 operands on it instead of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we can keep doing this all the way up to 10 different operands. Okay, so if I was to put in 7, for example, we're probably going to need to adjust what's happening on screen here. So again, we can use all the different settings to make sure that it's presented on screen correctly. And we can do this with all the different styles of these new addition equations that we have here. Okay, so that moves me on nicely to the next features of OTO 1 is the ability to add color into your text boxes and into your math equation elements as well. Just quickly to clarify once more, I did say that this was included in the base edition of the software. It is not included in the base edition of the software. You cannot get access to any type of color options in the base end. It is included in this version here, which is OTO 1. But what we can do if we want to add some life into our pages is to just come and select what we want to change the color of, come to the color section, and then just select it from here until we get what we want. Now this is obviously good if you're going to be selling these somewhere like Etsy, and we can do the same here for the elements on all of our different equations as well. But let's just use this one as an example. Let's say that I want to change the divider color here. We can go here, select the color that we want, and then update the worksheet, and that's going to change that color. And what we can do is also change the border color on our equations as well. So let's try and make this a sort of pinkish color, make the border style solid, and then try and update our worksheet and see how that looks. And there we go, that's updated the colors, making it look much more lively. And like I say, we have these color options for all of the equations that we have access to so that we can present our worksheets the way that we want to, which again presents us with a ton of opportunities when it comes to creating unique pages for our books using this app. Just like I'm doing now, we have a ton of different options that we can select from to make sure that we are creating what we have in our mind on the page. So also in OTO 1, we get 2 new types of equations that we can use, which are step multiplication and long division. So within step multiplication, we have 9 different styles that we can select. And within long division, we have 32 different styles here. So I'm just going to put a few of these on screen so you can see what they look like. So here's just a few of these step multiplication and long division equations that we can add in as well. So bear in mind, we have all the flexibility that we saw in the settings section. We have access to this for all of these different equations as well. All the new equations that we've got access to, we have all these settings that we can play around with as well, including the colors, thickness, etc., etc. And what you'll notice with all these new types of equations that we have on the page now is that when it comes to creating the solutions for these, they're going to be presented in a very professional style as well. So let's take a quick look at how these come out in the solutions. So let's just generate these as we did before. And as you can see here, this is what the solution pages are going to look like. It keeps the elements wrapped around everything looking professional and neat. And as per usual, as we come back to our pages, we can see that these have been added into the back of our book as well. And I'll just zoom in a little bit so you can see these better. And as you can see, if I just scroll down again, these are presented very professionally. And if you change the colors on them as well, that'll show up in the solutions too, which is pretty awesome. So just a few more features that come with OTO 1. We have a new download type here. We can download these as PPTX files. And also regarding the downloads in OTO 1, the number of downloads that you have now are unlimited. So the next feature with OTO 1, you may have noticed this new button has appeared here, which is called bulk clone. So what that allows us to do is to clone in bulk the current page that we're on whilst randomizing the numbers within it. So if we wanted to create this page here 20 times, but have a random set of numbers for each page, we can come up to the bulk clone button here, select that and type in 20. clone those pages, and that's going to create 20 more pages like that, but with all the numbers being randomized. So one last feature of OTO number 1 before we move on is the ability to upload our own images using this section here. So what we can do is just come over here, select the images that we want from our hard drive, and then what we can do from here is just to insert them into our equations the way that we want them, okay? So just use my book as an example as to how I use that feature myself. What I did was to create this kind of graphic here at the top of each page in Canva. I saved that file and then I uploaded it into the software and then just dragged it to the top of each page. And of course, this gives us a lot of flexibility if we've been outsourcing our designs or even creating our own designs that we want to bring across into the software and then implement into our pages like this. Okay, so that moves us on to OTO number 2, also known as Math Worksheet Generator Premium. So the launch price for this upgrade is $97. And after the launch, the price will go up to $197. Okay, so let's load up an account with OTO number 2 on it and see what we get. So with OTO number 2, we are getting 5 more types of math equations. So those equations are lattice multiplication, reading time, fractions, percentages, and decimals. So we're going to take a look at each of these now. So let's just start adding in some of the new equations. So as you can see, for lattice multiplication, we have 120 different styles that we can pick from. So I'm just going to randomly pick one from here. I'm going to add a new page here and then add the next equation, which is the reading time, where we have 3 different types of style that we can select from here. So again, just going to go ahead and select one style of these. And now I'm going to go ahead and add in fractions, percentages, and decimal equations as well. So let's go back and just add these in now. So with fractions, we have 290 styles to select from here. So I'm going to go ahead and just add one of these in for a demonstration. Now I'm going to go back and take a look at the percentage ones here. And what we can see is that we have 15 different styles of percentage equations that we can add in. So let's just add a new page and add one of these in as well. And then we can go ahead and add in our decimals as well, where we have 515 different styles that we can select from. So again, way too many for me to cover in just one video. So I'm going to go ahead and just select a random one here from our list. Let's choose this one. Okay, so let's take a look at these new equations in a little bit more detail. Now, obviously I can't go over absolutely everything because there is a phenomenal amount in this upgrade. So I'm just going to go over what I think are the standout features here. So obviously, again, with every type of equation that we have a ton of different settings that we can change. We can adjust all of these things in these settings as well to make it look the way that we want. So these are the lattice multiplications here, which again on its own is a new audience that you can target. And that moves us on to the 3 different types of reading time section that we have. Now, I think this is really going to be a customer favorite because it can add a lot of fun and variety into your books. So I'm actually going to come back to these reading time pages in just a second because I think they are one of the standouts of this upgrade. So let's just scroll through here and move on to take a closer look at fractions here. Again, you have all the options to change this around and do whatever you want with it. There are, as you can see, there are just a ton of settings. And of course, with each different equation that you're operating with, these settings are going to change to cater to that equation style, right? So you're always going to have a incredible amount to play with here. And again, this is just a closer look at decimals. Once again, you can have all these options that you can change around. And again, new target audience as well. And then of course we have the percentages, again, new target audience. And again, of course, we have all these settings as well. So I can't go over everything. You'll have a ton to play with. You're going to get a ton of ideas when you go through these. But what I want to touch on mainly was in this section was the reading time pages here that we created. So one of the reasons that I think the reading time sections here are the standout feature of this upgrade is because no matter what type of book that you add these into, this is always going to be giving your customer a ton of value. And the reason for that is because these are just fun for children to complete. Now in here we have, like I said, we have 3 different types of timed pages that we can create. Obviously the first one here is that they need to write in the time that is shown on the clock. The second one here, they need to go ahead and put the hands onto the clock. And on the third one, they need to select the time from a list of A, B, C, and D, okay? So we have 3 different types of time reading pages that we can create here. Now, on top of all of this, we have the options to present this the way that we want, again, by using the settings. I'm actually gonna go into this in a little bit more detail here. So in the settings section here for clocks, you're going to notice that we have our standard features and settings such as the rows, the columns, the grid item width, the grid item height, which we have across pretty much every equation that we use. But you'll notice since these are a different type of problem, they are literally clocks, we're going to have a ton of different sliders and options that we can change as well. So I'm just going to go through a couple of these and then I'm going to update the page to see what we can create just by changing a few of our sliders. Okay, so we can change the radius, we can change the hour hand length, we can change the hour hand thickness, we can change the color if we have that upgrade, we can change the minute hand length, we can change the minute hand thickness, we can change the minute hand color, we can show the clock hand arrow, we can make changes to the clock hand here. We can change the arrow size as well. We can change the bezel outer edge thickness. We can change the bezel thickness. We can change the inner edge thickness as well. We can change the center radius. We can change the major tick size. We can change the minor tick size. We can change the padding sizes. We can change the hour number padding. And there's just tons and tons of different features that you can play around with here to create some really incredible and unique looking clocks. Okay, so I can't go through all of these obviously, but what I'm going to do is play around with these myself and then just update the worksheet and show you what I come out with. Okay, so just playing around with some of the settings just for a couple minutes here, what you can see is I've managed to create a variety of different clock styles here. So just take a look what I've managed to create in just a couple minutes here. So we have 3 different pages. If you remember the original pages, these are significantly different to what we had originally. So I think those of you who have any type of creativity in you whatsoever are going to be going absolutely wild over thought of what you can do with these clocks. And the great thing is that if you take a look at this one here, for example, what I've done is I've actually shortened one of the hands and made it thicker. So for someone creating a book where it has unique elements in it, this on its own presents a new challenge for the child. And if it's a new challenge for the child, that's a new way that you can present and market your book. So the variety here is pretty incredible. And what I've done on this one here is just change some of the font and reduce the amount of clocks on screen. And then what I've done for this one here is just to create one clock for the entirety of this page, okay? And what's great about the ones where the child has to draw the hands in is that when it comes to creating the solutions for these type of problems, what we can see is that it presents us with a really nice looking graphic on these solutions. Let's just go ahead and generate our solutions here quickly. So what you can see in the solutions here, as we zoom in, they are very professionally presented again at the back of the book with the elements and the hands drawn in correctly. Okay, so that's what OTO number 2 has to offer. You get the lattice multiplication, the clocks, the fractions, the percentages, and the decimals. So for me, this is one of my favorite upgrades and one that I would highly recommend, purely because you basically get 5 more niches that you can work with. And then on top of that, you get the clocks, which I think are my favorite feature in the software so far. And I think this upgrade will offer an incredible amount of variety and creativity into your books. Okay, so that moves us on to the last upgrade, which is OTO number 3, which is also known as Math Worksheet Generator Elite, which during the launch period is $67. And then after the launch period, that will go up to $147. So let's take a look at what we get with OTO number 3. So OTO 3 is purely design elements and you get 500 different designs in multiple niches. Okay, so we're going to go over just a few of these now. So we have sections here dedicated to animals, arrows, borders, cut lines, dessert, education, food, fruits, holiday and vacation, home and nature, objects, shapes, sports, toys, vegetables, and vehicles. Okay, so just going to go over a few of them here and take a look at what some of these look like and how you can implement them into your existing equations. So what I think I'm going to do for this section is just show you some of the ways that these design elements can be implemented into your equation. So what I'm going to do is just show you a few examples here that I've very quickly created and then just go through each section in a little bit more detail so you can see the type of elements that you're going to be getting. And just to correct myself, I think we actually have 750 design elements overall that you can select. Okay, so what I've done here is to go ahead and try and create more of an activity style type of page by combining some of the elements from this upgrade with some of the equations from upgrade number 2, which was the clocks. So what I've done here is to add the clocks in, spread them apart, and then build the activity page around those clocks. Okay, so for the elements here, I decided to use the borders here. I selected this border with the seals on it, and then I've gone ahead and used the arrows to point to the seals, and then I've used one of the jellyfish elements in the middle as well to create this very interesting activity page, shall we say. But that's just one way that we can use the elements to either target a kind of different section of books or just to make our books look a little bit more interesting. So moving on here, I've gone back to a sort of bog standard addition equation here. But what I've done from the elements section here is chosen one of the cut lines here. So if you're doing those kind of time test equations like I've done, what parents like to do is to cut them from the book, laminate them so that the child can do them over and over and over. And it's a nice little touch if you have this graphic of the scissors and the cut line. We have 30 of them, it looks like here, that we can choose from. But again, it's a nice little touch that you typically wouldn't find in other books on Amazon, other than mine. And just for the last example here, I've taken one of the food elements, I've combined it with some of the speech bubbles. I'm going to go over them in just a second. And I've created one of these kind of welcome pages, you know, those sort of this book belongs to page, just to make it a little bit more playful for whoever fills it out. So without spending a million hours going through every single type of design that we have here, what I think I'm going to do is just to select a few from each section and show them off a little bit larger so that you can see the quality of them. And then I go through a couple of the sections that I like the most, which is the arrows and the borders. So what I've done here is just selected a few random ones from a few different sections here, not every single section because we don't have all year. So what I'm going to do is just scroll through these ever so slowly so you can see the quality of these that you're going to be getting. So I think this is a case of you would have to decide how much these elements, 750 of these, would cost you to outsource. And then on top of that, you need to decide whether this is something that you would implement into your publishing business, whether it sparks some creativity into your ideas or not. But yeah, this is the quality that we have here, and these have been produced or created, designed, illustrated, whatever, for just this application only. But to me, I would have said that these are very high quality. So just moving back to my favorites here that I think can add a ton of variety to your books, we have arrows and borders. So let's just quickly go through the different arrows that we have on display here. So just going to scroll through to see what different types of arrows that we get. And it's weird that this is one of those things where I love my arrows, as you've probably seen from my YouTube thumbnails, but it's very hard to find, I know this sounds kind of weird, but good looking arrows to use, especially from places like Canva. So I like these, but you know, how you use them would be up to you. And then of course we had the border section, which I love as well. I'm just going to click on one of these at random because we have so many of them. But again, it's all about adding variety into your books, and that's why I like these two sections. So we're going to go ahead and just randomly pick, I think we're going to add, if I just scroll through them first, then I'll add one. So let's add this one here and take a closer look at what border this is. So again, this is a case of like if you were targeting a different niche, something underwater, which is always a popular sort of sub niche, then you could use this border on it, for example. And we have different ones in here, like festive style ones, etc., etc. So that is the pricing structure of the math worksheet generator software explained in full. Hopefully that clears a lot of things up for you. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Now let's move on to the bonus. So what is the exclusive bonus that I'm giving away with this software? Why did I get nearly 100 emails in 24 hours regarding this bonus? So let me tell you what you're going to get, and keep in mind it's going to get better as we go through these. So the first bonus is the workbook formula, which is a video case study around the book that I created and uploaded onto Amazon KDP. It's the one that I showcased on my channel, this one here, and at the time of recording has been up for around 7 or 8 days and has around 13 sales. So the workbook formula goes over everything I did from start to finish to create this book and start making sales with it. So everything from how I picked a niche, how I added value to the book, how I ranked the book onto first pages for its keywords, how I ran ad campaigns and pricing strategies, everything that I did. The second bonus is the workbook formula companion, which is a hand-picked list of niches, keywords and ideas that you can use alongside the video series to replicate my success. So the third bonus, and this is the one that I've just added in, and this is the one that's been making my inbox go pretty crazy, and that is the workbook formula family. So what the workbook formula family is an exclusive members area that will continue to upload niche ideas, unique suggestions, ad campaign strategies, and more in order to help your book stand out on Amazon. So the reason for this is that, as you've seen, there is just so much going on with the app. There are so many variables, so many audiences that we can target. And I think having updates in this members area is going to give you a lot of motivation. It's going to give you a lot of ideas, a lot of directions that you can take. And it's something that I am willing to commit for at least the next 3 or 4 months. And I'm going to be working very hard on this in the upcoming weeks so that you get some absolutely incredible value with this as well. Okay. So how do you get these bonuses from me? So this is very, very important that after you've purchased the software through the link in the description, you have to email me with your purchase receipt. Once you've done that, you're going to get access to the members area on around the 28th of July. So very, very soon, you're going to get access to all of this. So again, it's very important that you email me with your receipt. My email address is going to be on the screen now. It's going to be in the description below. It's chrisraydog@gmail.com. You have to email me your receipt. Then we're going to hook you up with these incredible bonuses around the 28th of July. And trust me when I tell you, they're going to be worth the wait. Okay, so that's it for this video. I have more videos coming out on this software very, very soon. So stay tuned and I'll see you in the next video.